Why do Toys for Tots and Hasbro trust Duracell to power their donated toys? Duralock Power Preserve. It locks in power for up to 10 years in storage. Guaranteed. Duracell with Duralock. Trusted everywhere.
Christmas time in West Wendover, Nevada. Mickey Costanzo had been dead for 9 months.
Christmas Day, it was not fun for me. She was missing. It's not the same. And I don't ever think that's gonna go away.
I used to enjoy going and buying everybody Christmas presents and wrapping them up, and it wasn't the same. And then having to remember not to buy her something.
Cody Patton and his fiancée, Tony Fratto, spent the holidays in jail awaiting trial. On New Year's Eve, Cody turned 20. Then early in 2012, a legal deal emerged. Cody would plead guilty to first-degree murder, get life in prison, but with the possibility of parole, no death penalty. And in exchange, he'd have to testify against Tony. Cody took the deal, and then just as suddenly changed his mind. Instead, Cody decided to take his chances in court. But just one day later, the DA offered Tony a deal. Not the same deal, better. If Tony agreed to testify against Cody, she'd be allowed to plead to second-degree murder, with a chance of parole after just 18 years. By then, Tony would be just 36. And Tony offered a chance to save her own skin by throwing Cody under the bus, said yes. She signed the plea papers right away.
She said, you know what, enough is enough. The truth needs to be told, and I'm going to tell it.
So, on a chilly January day, Tony Fratto was led from her jail cell to an office at the Sheriff's Department to tell her story, and put her hand on the Bible and promise to tell the truth.
I'm a person to tell the truth, and deep down I wanted people to know the truth because I knew Cody wasn't going to come forward and tell the complete truth.
And for the next 3.5 hours, Tony told a whole new story about how Cody was upset with Mickey, how he hated the sound of her voice, how things were building up. Then the one detail of her story that did not change. The afternoon of March 3rd, that text from Cody. One of over 100 the two exchanged that day. Police weren't able to recover any of them, but this one, said Tony, was burned in her memory.
What was the content of it?
All it said was, I have her.
But from here, the story changed, and blame shifted toward Cody. As they drove off into the desert, said Tony, she looked back and saw Mickey stuffed in the back section of the SUV. Mickey looked scared, said Tony, with her hands up toward her face. Cody looked determined, angry, she said, but wouldn't talk to her. Then, as they approached the gravel pit, said Tony, Cody, right beside her in the driver's seat, sent her a text.
And it said, we have to kill her. Just kind of looked at him and kind of looked, well, why?
Cody pulled over, said Tony, and ordered her to stand guard as he dug a hole. Then he took Mickey from the car, pushed her to the ground, demanded that Tony hit her.
All I remember is him pulling her hair back, and I went up and hit her in the face.
But in this new and entirely different version of her story, Tony claimed she was an unwilling participant and insisted she backed off while Cody started punching and kicking Mickey, and then he issued an order.
I remember looking up at Cody and him telling me, hit her with the shovel, hit her with the shovel. And so I hit her in the back of the shoulder with the shovel.
She said Cody took the shovel back and whacked Mickey in the head. And then in that hole he dug, Cody got on top of her.
And then I remember going up and holding her legs down so she'd stop kicking. And then all of a sudden her legs went completely still and she wasn't moving. and that freaked me out. So I backed off and jumped up and walked off a little bit.
Remember, in her first confession, Toni claimed she helped cut Mickey's throat. Not anymore. Her new story, Cody used the knife alone. Well, she, horrified, then backed off, but kept watching and listening.
She had looked up at Cody and asked, am I still here? Am I still alive?
And then Cody ordered her to get in the car, she said, and sitting by herself, Toni said she heard the last sounds of Mickey Costanzo's life. And then she said it was over. Cody buried Mickey by himself. Once in the car, according to Toni, they drove back into town, went to McDonald's for a cold drink. And then later, they cruised across the state line into Utah, pulled off into the desert, and burned Mickey's clothes and belongings.
You can't tell me to this day why this happened.
No.
He never told you that.
No.
And with that, Toni had her deal. The sworn statement she provided would now comprise much of the DA's case against her fiancé, Cody Patton. In this new version of her story, Cody was the killer, orchestrated the whole thing, and she, terrified of Cody's murderous rage, was forced to go along for the awful ride. Not at all like her original confession. But was there more to Toni's story? Well, maybe. Because just before she was arrested, Toni left something behind. Something in her very own words that just might reveal the real motive for Mickey Costanzo's murder.